Dear students, welcome to our YouTube channel Chem Origin. This is Dr. Satish from RGUKT Srikakulam. Students, in this video module, I deal with two important concepts. One is Hess law and its applications, and another important concept is entropy. Now we can start our thermodynamics video class module. Hess law. This is another important topic in thermodynamics. Students, this Hess law is very easy and very important in our examination of point of view, both in our mid-exam point of view as well as in our semester exam point of view. Hess law, this is very simple. In Hess law, the definition we can see. The heat change in particular reaction remains the same, whether it takes place in one step or in several steps. So this is very simple. No need to by heart this definition. You can write in your own words, no problem. So during a reaction, whether the reaction takes place in a single step or in a multiple step, the total heat change in a single step reaction or a multiple step pathway remains the same. This is the definition of Hess law. So to explain the Hess law concept, we can choose one example. Suppose a chemical substance A is converted into chemical substance D. So let us suppose that A is changed to D in a chemical reaction. Students, you can assume a chemical reaction. Your reactant is A and the product is B. So A is converted into B. This conversion, suppose you can assume that it takes place in two pathways. This is path 1. This is path 1. This is one way, and this is the path 2. This is another way. The conversion of A into D. In the conversion of A into D in path 1, it takes place in a single step. So A is directly converted into D in a single step. And in the second path, A is converted into D, it takes place in three steps. Initially, A is converted into B. Here the heat change is, let us assume that is Q1. So here A to B is one step, and B to C is a second step, and C to D is third step. Therefore, according to Hess law, here the conversion of A to D in a single step, that equal to in path 1, and in more than one path or three steps, here in path 2 remains the change, heat change remains same. This is the Hess law definition. So to explain this, we can see how the heat change remains same in both paths. We can see. So in path 1, students, A is directly converted into D. The heat change is delta H is equals to minus phi 1. You can assume here it is phi 1 in path 1. In path 1, the heat change is phi 1. In path 2, A is not directly converted into D. Initially, A is converted into B, and then B is converted into C, and C is converted into D. So in this conversion, this is the heat change in step 1. This is heat change in step 2. This is heat change in step 3. So the total heat change in path 2 becomes, you can assume as a phi 2. Therefore, phi 2 is equals to phi 1 plus Q2 plus Q3. According to Hess law, the heat change in a chemical reaction, whether the reaction takes place in a single step, directly here in our example A to D, or a multiple steps, remains same. Therefore, as per the definition of Hess law, phi 1 should be is equals to phi 2. Therefore, phi 1 is equals to Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3, that equals to phi 2. So this is the explanation of Hess law. So very easiest concept, students. Please concentrate on this. Very important in examination point of view. So whenever the examiner is asking a question, define Hess law and explain. So in order to define and explain Hess law, just you can write the definition of Hessla. The heat change in a particular reaction remains the same whether the reaction takes place in a single step or a several steps. To explain this, you can choose a one example. In one step it is direct conversion. In one path, in another path it takes place multiple steps. So very important topic. Hessla examples. Students, just now we discussed the Hessla definition and its explanation. We can see one or two examples for Hessla. For this I choose formation of CO2 from carbon. Formation of carbon dioxide from carbon I selected as an example to explain the Hessla. This carbon dioxide CO2 we can prepare in two methods. In first method, we can directly prepare the CO2 by the reaction of solid carbon with oxygen gas O2, and combination of this carbon and O2 molecule gives the corresponding carbon dioxide. During this reaction, the delta H value is minus 94.0 kilocalories. This is the first method for the preparation of CO2. In the second method, we can prepare the CO2 in two steps. Initially, the solid carbon is reacts with the one oxygen atom which is coming from half O2 molecule, and this carbon is combined with one oxygen atom, forms a CO, carbon monoxide, gaseous carbon monoxide. Solid carbon is react with gaseous oxygen and forms a carbon monoxide. During this reaction, the delta H value is minus 26 kilocalories, and in the second step, this carbon monoxide, gaseous carbon monoxide is reacts with another oxygen, half O2, another oxygen atom, and forms our desired carbon dioxide, CO2, carbon dioxide. In this step, the delta H value is minus 68.0 kilocalories. In the second method, we prepare the same carbon dioxide in two steps. Therefore, the total change or total enthalpy change in two steps in the second method is sum of these two, minus 26 minus 68, that equals to minus 94 kilocalories. Therefore, which is equal to the enthalpy change in the first method. Therefore, according to definition of Hessla, whether the chemical reaction takes place in a single step or a several steps, the total enthalpy change or heat change remains same. So this is the perfect example for Hessla. And we can see one more example. For Hessla. Formation of ammonium chloride from ammonia and hydrochloric acid. Okay, students, in this example, my target is preparation or formation of ammonium chloride, and the starting materials are ammonia, NH3, and hydrochloric acid, HCl. Therefore, in this example, ammonia and HCl are reactants. So, in the first method, how we prepare? In the first method, gaseous ammonia is reacts with HCl, which is in gaseous state. So ammonia gas and HCl gas both are reacted together to form a ammonium chloride, which is in gaseous state. So gaseous state ammonium chloride is formed. Gaseous state ammonium chloride is formed. And in the second step, this ammonium chloride gaseous is soluble in water and forms a aqueous ammonium chloride. During these two steps, the enthalpy change is minus 38.0 kilocalories. Students, so in the first method, in two steps, we can prepare our desired ammonium chloride. In the two steps, the enthalpy change or heat change is minus 38.0 kilocalories. And the same ammonium chloride we can prepare in three steps. It is a second method. In second method, what we did, ammonia gas is initially converted into aqueous ammonia. So this is done by the gaseous ammonia is soluble in water and forms a aqueous ammonia. and similarly the HCl gas is converted into liquid HCl or aqueous HCl by dissolving this hydrochloric acid gas in a water, forms a aqueous HCl. In step 3, aqueous ammonia and hydrochloric acid aqueous HCl both are reacted together to form a ammonium chloride. So in the second method there are 3 steps in the preparation of ammonium chloride. Therefore total heat change or enthalpy change in second method is minus 38.0 kilocalories. So which is equal to the enthalpy change in first method. First method takes place in 2 steps and second method is following 3 steps. Therefore it is the justification of Hess law. Whether a chemical reaction takes place in single step or several steps, the total heat change or enthalpy change must be same or equal. So these are the very best examples for Hess law. Students, in your examination, the examiner may ask question like this: define Hess law and explain with examples. So very easy. First you can write the definition of Hess law and you can choose one example, the conversion of A to D, which takes place in path 1 single step, in path 2 it takes place in 3 steps. In both these steps both are equal, the heat change or enthalpy change. The examples are preparation of CO2 and the second example is formation of ammonium chloride from ammonia and HCl. Very easy, no need to by heart. So very easy, you can easily remember and it is very important concept. Next, applications of Hess law. Students, just now we learned definition of Hess law and explanation of Hess law with examples, and we can see some examples for applications of Hess law. In the first one, determination of heat of formation. In some reactions, an unstable intermediates are formed. That formed unstable intermediates heat change or enthalpy change can be calculated with the help of Hess law. So how we can calculate the unstable intermediates during the formation of reaction, the enthalpy change or heat change we can be calculated. So for this I choose one example, the same example, heat of formation of CO. So here I would like to calculate the heat of formation of CO. And already in the first example we can see, we can prepare the CO2 in two methods. In first method, the solid carbon is treated with oxygen gas. C plus O2 directly gives CO2, carbon dioxide. During this step, the heat change or enthalpy change is minus 393.52 kilojoules. And this CO2 we can prepare it by using carbon monoxide gas and half O2. So one oxygen atom we can add to carbon monoxide and gives the same carbon dioxide gas, CO2 gas. For this step, the change in enthalpy or heat change delta H2 is minus 283.02 kilojoules. Here we would like to calculate the heat of formation of CO. So CO is formed by the combination of solid carbon with one oxygen atom. That one oxygen atom is coming from half O2 molecule. Half O2 molecule gives one oxygen atom. This carbon and that oxygen atom combine to form a carbon monoxide gas. So carbon monoxide is an unstable intermediate in the preparation of CO2. So this unstable intermediate enthalpy change or heat change can be calculated with the help of Hess law. Therefore, according to Hess law, based on Hess law, we can write delta H of CO formation is equals to delta H1 minus delta H2. Students, just now we learn. Okay. Therefore, minus 393.52 kilojoules minus 283.02 kilojoules, it gives minus 110.50 kilojoules. This is the delta H for the formation of CO, carbon monoxide. In this manner, an unstable intermediate heat change or enthalpy change can be calculated with the help of Hess law. Another application we can see. Determination of heat of hydration. Heat of hydration, in this example I choose heat of hydration of copper sulfate. Copper sulfate, CuSO4. Copper sulfate, CuSO4. Students, CuSO4 it can available in two forms. In the first form I choose a anhydrous copper sulfate. In the first equation I used substrate anhydrous, means there are no water molecules in the copper sulfate. So anhydrous copper sulfate, generally it is an inorganic salt, it is in solid form, solid state. That's why in the bracket I mentioned a subscript as a S. S here, S means solid copper sulfate. So anhydrous solid copper sulfate is soluble in water. It forms a aqueous copper sulfate solution. Aqueous CuSO4 solution is formed. An anhydrous copper sulfate solid is soluble in water, forms a aqueous copper sulfate solution. So for this reaction, the delta H1 or enthalpy change is minus 66.5 kilojoules. If I in the second method, what I did, I used a solid copper sulfate pentahydrated copper sulfate I am used as a substrate, pentahydrate. So this pentahydrated salt, pentahydrated copper sulfate, this pentahydrated salt also a solid form, it is commercially available. This pentahydrated copper sulfate solid is soluble in water in order to prepare aqueous copper sulfate solution. So during this method also the enthalpy change is minus 11.7 kilojoules. Based on these two enthalpy changes, we can found the heat of hydration of copper sulfate. Therefore, based on the Hess law, we can calculate the heat of hydration of copper sulfate as delta H is equals to delta H1 plus delta H2, that equals to minus 66.5 minus 11.7, that equals to minus 78.2 kilojoules per mole. In this manner, with the help of Hess law, we can easily calculate the determination of, we can found the heat of hydration as well as heat of formation of an unstable intermediate, heat of hydration of a solid copper sulfate. These are the applications of Hess law. Spontaneous process. Spontaneous process, a process which takes place instantaneously by giving any external source or support or help, is known as a spontaneous process. So students, generally spontaneous process is defined as the physical process, the physical or a chemical process, the physical or a chemical process which takes place by its own, which proceeds by its own, which takes place its own, which proceeds by its own, or the physical process or a chemical process. So always not a chemical reaction. Some of the physical process also a spontaneous process. We can say each one by one with examples. Before that, we see the definition of spontaneous process. Spontaneous process is a process, the physical process or a chemical process which proceeds by its own under given set of conditions, without any external help, without any outside help or external help, without any external help. The physical process or a chemical process which proceeds by its own under given set of conditions without any help, any outside help, is known as a, or is called as a spontaneous process, is called as spontaneous process. Means which takes place instantaneously without giving any external energy, without giving any external support. So these type of processes are known as spontaneous process which takes place instantaneously itself only. So these are known as spontaneous. Generally all naturally occurring processes are spontaneous process. All natural processes are spontaneous process. For example, students, if you see waterfalls, whenever if you visit waterfalls, so whenever we saw waterfalls, water is flow from high level to low level without giving any external source or energy. So it is one of the natural process for the example of spontaneous process. So water always travel from high level to low level. Even in our home also, we always kept a water tank on the upper side of our house. So always water tank is at a high level in our home, and we are using in our kitchen or washroom or bathroom or anywhere we can use the tap. The water which is coming to the tap is the from water tank. That water tank should be at high level, so or upper level. Generally water flows from high level to low level. It is a natural process. We does not give any external energy or external support. And similarly we can see one more example. Generally gas diffuses from high pressure to low pressure. Always gas diffuse from high pressure to low pressure. For example, students, in your daily life we can see there are so many examples. Suppose in our kitchen we are using LPG gas cylinder. If suppose the gas is leaked from LPG cylinder, slowly the smell is or the odor is coming from the cylinder to outside to the kitchen or outside from the home. So inside the cylinder gas is present with high pressure. Whenever it is leaked, the outside of the environment is having low pressure when compared with the gas present inside the cylinder. Therefore gas flow from or diffuse from inside the cylinder into the outside. That's why it is also a natural spontaneous process. Therefore gas diffusion from a high pressure to low pressure is a spontaneous process. Similarly, flow of heat from a hot body to cold body. So this is also, we are very familiar with this one. So generally we know, students, always heat flow from high temperature to low temperature or hot body to cold body. Generally, suppose we are using to boil the water. So in order to boil the water, we take water in a vessel. So whenever we put the vessel containing water in a flame, initially the vessel becomes hot, and after that the heat is from vessel to water flowing. Then only the water inside the vessel is boiled. That's why heat always flow from hot body to cold body or higher temperature to lower temperature. It is also a natural phenomena. Therefore it is also one of the example for spontaneous process. Similarly, dissolution of sugar or salt in a water. When you add a small amount of sugar or a salt in water, it readily soluble in the solvent water. So all these takes place instantaneously without giving any energy or any support or any help from outside. Under given set of conditions means we are not altering any temperature or pressure. Whatever the things we are not altering, naturally it takes place itself only. These types of process are generally known as a spontaneous process. There are in our daily life so many examples for spontaneous process. Next important topic is entropy. Entropy. It is also very important concept. Students, entropy is always denoted with a letter capital S. Already we saw internal energy is denoted with capital E. Enthalpy is denoted with capital H. Entropy is denoted with capital S. Capital S. So students, please remember, capital S is the symbol for entropy. Entropy is nothing but randomness or disorderness in a system. For example, if you see, students, gas is more randomness when compared with a liquid. Suppose if you boil a water, initially the liquid water, initially before heating, water is in liquid state. After heating sometime, what happened? The liquid state water is converted into vapor state. So it is easily flows to the environment. Means randomness is more or disorderness is more between the molecules in gaseous state when compared to liquid state. And when compared with solids, liquids are more disorder or more randomness. Therefore entropy is defined as it is a measure of randomness or disorderness of the molecules of a system. So if a system is more disorderness is present or more random nature, its entropy is very high. For example, in the previous slide, in spontaneous process example, we saw the first example. Water always flows from high level to low level. At the high level, water has very high entropy. Whenever it comes to the low level, its entropy is gradually decreases and zero at the bottom. Therefore, as the randomness or the disorderness increases in a system, its entropy is increased. Therefore, in a particular system, the entropy is calculated or depends upon its randomness or disorderness. For a particular system, if it is more disorderness between the molecules is present in a system, its entropy is very high. So disorderness is the correct meaning for the entropy. Disorderness, instability or randomness. So which are the, it is the entropy is a measure of randomness or disorderness of the molecules of the system. Similar to internal energy and like enthalpy, entropy is also a state function, means it depends upon the initial state and final state, but not on the how from initial to final it will travel. So it does not depend upon the path when coming from initial to final, just it depends upon only the initial and final state, like internal energy and enthalpy. Therefore, it is not possible to calculate the absolute value of entropy or exact value of entropy. Therefore, like internal energy or like enthalpy, we also calculate the change in entropy. Change in entropy, it is denoted with delta S. Here delta S means change in entropy, because entropy is a state function. For state functions, it is not possible to calculate its absolute values. Therefore, its change in value should be calculated. Therefore, we calculate change in entropy. So, a change in entropy delta S is equals to entropy of final state minus entropy of initial state. When if final state entropy is higher than the initial state entropy, then delta S is positive. Then delta S is positive. Suppose if initial entropy is higher than the final state entropy, then delta S is negative. For example, if you take a chemical reaction, if you apply this entropy concept to a chemical reaction, for example, you can see a reactant A gives product B. Reactant, a chemical reaction in which A is converted into B. A chemical reaction in which A is converted into B. So entropy of A, here A is our reactant and B is our product. Therefore, product's entropy minus reactant's entropy is nothing but change in entropy. It is denoted with delta S, and this delta S is calculated as delta S is equals to Q by T, heat with time. Heat with time, the ratio of heat with the temperature is nothing but the change in entropy or delta S, and units for the change in entropy is joules per Kelvin per mole or calories per Kelvin per mole. So students, entropy is a simple concept that how much disorderness or randomness is increased for a system, that may be human body or that may be a whatever the things. So whether the randomness or disorderness increases, its entropy increases. One more thing is that students, entropy of the universe is always increases. So always in the natural things, always entropy try to increases and reaches a maximum value. From that it is immediately come to zero and gradually again increases. So in this process, entropy of a system or a natural process always try to increases and reaches a highest value and then becomes zero. Spontaneity in terms of entropy change. Students, we already see what is spontaneous process and what is entropy also we can see. Next, spontaneity in terms of entropy change. For spontaneity in terms of entropy change, for a spontaneous process in an isolated system. So students, in the module 1 video of thermodynamics, we already discussed isolated system. What is isolated system? Neither energy nor the matter exchanged with the surroundings is known as a isolated system. Therefore, a spontaneous process in an isolated system, the change in entropy, that is nothing but delta S. Delta S, the change in entropy. Change in entropy is, we are here denoted with delta S, is always positive. Therefore, for a spontaneous process in an isolated system, change in entropy delta S is always positive. That's why here we mentioned as a delta S is greater than 0. For example, students, you can take a isolated system. This is a isolated system. It is an isolated system. Inside this system, this is an isolated box. Inside this, you can take a system that let it is a gas. So you are taking a gas inside the insulated or isolated material, insulated box. Inside that, we are taking a system. Therefore, it is an isolated system. From this system, neither energy nor the matter exchange between system and surroundings. Therefore, so inside this insulated material, if the system is present, the change in entropy is always positive. Suppose if you are taking a normal system or a open system, suppose if you are taking a open system, like this, see, if you are taking a beaker of water or a solution, it is kept in a open atmosphere. So inside this, your system is present, let it be water. So here water is present inside the beaker. If you heat this system, neither energy or nor the matter, both energy and matter exchange with the surrounding from system. So it is an example of open system, students. Open system. Both energy and heat exchange between system and surroundings is known as a open system. Only heat energy exchange with the surroundings but not matter is known as a closed system. In the first video of thermodynamics, we give the definitions of what is open system, what is closed system, what is isolated system. We clearly explained there. So in case of isolated system, what's happening? Isolated system, neither energy nor matter exchange with surroundings. Closed system, only energy exchange between system and surroundings but nor matter. But in case of open system, both energy and matter exchange between system and surroundings. So in the second case, what we do, suppose if the system is not an isolated system, then the entropy changes. We can take both consideration under both system and surroundings, because matter or energy are both exchange between system and surroundings in case of open system or closed system. Therefore, we should be considered into the both system and surroundings in order to calculate the change in entropy, delta S. Thus, in order to calculate the change in entropy, and this is the total change in entropy, can be represented as a delta S total is the sum of the system's change in entropy and surroundings change in entropy. Therefore, total entropy change for not an isolated system, means that may be open system or a closed system case, delta S total is equals to delta S system plus delta S surroundings. Delta S system plus delta S surroundings. Suppose if a spontaneous process, delta S must be positive. Already we can see so many examples. For a spontaneous process, change in entropy is always positive. delta S total that equals to delta S system plus delta S surroundings is always greater than 0. Students, we see so many examples for a spontaneous process. In the spontaneous process, we are not giving any outside help. Also, it will proceed instantaneously itself only without giving any outside help. So, those spontaneous process, the change in entropy, students, change in entropy is always positive. Suppose if the system is an open system or a closed system case, its change in entropy, total change in entropy is depends upon the entropy change of the system and change in entropy of the surroundings. The sum of these two is the total change in entropy. It is always positive. That is nothing but greater than 0. And delta S total is also termed as a delta S universe. Students, in the module 1 video, we already clearly mentioned that whatever the matter which is our under investigation is called system, the rest of the world is surroundings. The boundary, that is imaginary or real, which separates system from surroundings, is known as a boundary. Okay, that's why delta S total is also we can represent it as a delta S universe. Delta S universe. In universe, surroundings is present. In universe, system is present. In universe, boundary also present. That's why here I would like to show delta S total. Instead of delta S total, I can show with delta S universe. Change in entropy of the universe is for a spontaneous process. Students, this is very important point. For a spontaneous process, delta S total always positive or greater than 0. For example, for an equilibrium process in an isolated system, delta S is 0 because, students, for example, you can take an isolated insulated vessel. You can take, inside this insulated vessel a chemical reaction takes place. So in this chemical reaction, A is converted into B. In this chemical reaction, A is converted into B. It takes place inside the isolated vessel. Therefore, it is an isolated system. In this isolated system, what will happen? A is converted into B, and similarly, reactant A is converted into product B, and product B again converted back into reactant A. These type of reactions are known as here the condition is known as a equilibrium condition. It is known as a equilibrium state. So this type of equilibrium states or equilibrium reactions or equilibrium conditions in an isolated system. Isolated system means neither energy nor the matter exchange with surroundings. So in this case, what happened? Reactant A entropy is equals to, suppose it should be represented with SR, reactants entropy, and the product B's entropy, SP, products entropy. So both are becomes equal. SR is equals to SP for an equilibrium reaction. Reactants entropy is equals to products entropy. Then what happened? Delta S is equals to products entropy minus reactants entropy. That is nothing but delta S is equals to 0. Students, please remember, for a equilibrium process or for a equilibrium reaction, the change in entropy delta S is always equal to 0. Delta S is always equals to 0. Next, for a non-spontaneous process, delta S total is negative. That equals to delta S total is less than 0. For a non-spontaneous process means the process does not take place its own. We should be give energy from outside. Then only the process will be takes place. For those types of system, delta S total must be negative. That equals to delta S total is less than 0. Means delta S system plus delta S surroundings is equals to negative. Therefore, students, it is very simple condition, and you can remember whenever we are dealing with numerical problems, these three conditions we follow. For a spontaneous process, delta S is greater than 0. For a non-spontaneous process, delta S is less than 0. For a equilibrium process, delta S is equals to 0. Okay students, I hope you enjoyed this session. Thank you for your support. Students, all these concepts, soft copy or PDF copy, I am already giving to your class teachers. Please collect from them. It is my sincere advice is that after watching this video of thermodynamics, it is better you can immediately learn the concept and read the concept and solve if any numerical problems is there. It is very good for you. Thank you.